So I wanted to talk about and review a movie that I just recently rewatched. It's from 1995, and it is Stephen King's The Langoliers. This was a made-for-TV movie. It was directed by Tom Holland, who also directed Child's Play, Fright Night, and Thinner, and some other things. It stars Dean Stockwell, David Morse, and some other relatively well-known people. I would say like C-level, I suppose, actors or actresses. But you've probably seen them before. You would recognize them. Basically, I wanted to rewatch this movie because I remember watching it when I was younger, and it's just one of those movies that I really sort of, I don't know, felt kind of a strange connection with. I think basically the movie is about, and it's based on the Stephen King short. I think that it wasn't one of his complete novels, but it was a story that was featured within one of his longer novels or something like that. Anyway, the movie essentially is about this group of people that are going to Boston, and so they get on a plane, and suddenly they wake up on their way there, and everyone in the plane is has disappeared besides like a select group of people, and they try to figure out exactly what's going on, and they figure out that basically they ended up going through some strange time warp, which essentially moved them back into the past, like by 15 minutes or something like that. And so everything is everything has already passed in terms of the people and all the things that have been going on already. So essentially the world is just devoid of kind of any life or really any action in general. Like there's no sound, there's no smell, there's nothing. Everything is just kind of static and kind of bland, I guess. The movie is really long. It was actually, I think that it was actually originally, again, shown on TV, but it was like a series, and so they had it was split up into, I think, three different episodes. So it's just over 3 hours long, but honestly, I didn't think that it felt that long. Some people might disagree with me, but when I rewatched it, I essentially watched it all the way through, and I was very entertained. I don't exactly know how to articulate the feeling that I have toward the film, but there's just something very uniquely kind of appealing about it, which just really draws me to it. But I feel like this is a very personal thing, so I kind of also have an inclination to think that not many people are going to feel the way that I feel or the way that I felt when watching the movie. And it could have something to do with the nostalgic factor. I'm not really sure, but it also the movie has this kind of strange 90s feel to it, which really just kind of is particularly appealing to me. Um, the way that the way that it's shot, it feels kind of cheesy and just kind of it feels very made for TV like, but at the same time it never to me became boring. Like the characters, you've got the Dean Stockwell character who's kind of based, I think, on Stephen King himself. He's the sci-fi writer. He's always coming up with all of these interesting conclusions about their situation, even though you have no idea how he actually knows this stuff. As he says, that he just sort of puts things together and uses logic. Uh, and there is the Craig Toomey character. I forget the guy's name who plays him, but he's this crazy businessman who ended up growing up with this abusive father who always was telling him that he can't be lazy and he always has to be working really hard or else the Langoliers will get him. And of course that's where the movie gets the name. Basically the Langoliers are these weird creatures who, if you're lazy and aren't doing anything, then they will basically find you and then they will chew you up and eat you and kill you. I assume that you will die once you are eaten and consumed by the Langoliers. The main and Toomey's character is just absolutely insane. the actor's performance basically conveying the character who's playing the character is completely over the top, just hamming it up nonstop, and it's hilarious. Absolutely loved it. He was probably the most entertaining part about the movie, and he's got like throughout the whole movie he's got like these pieces of paper, and he's just like it's like he's orgasming. He's having an orgasm due to the fact that he is tearing up the paper, and it just feels so good to him. Not literally, he's having an orgasm, but he looks like he is when he's tearing up the paper. It's awesome. It's hilarious. The only real complaint that I have about this movie is and everyone pretty much has this complaint. The special effects are ridiculous, and not ridiculous in a charming way. They're terrible. Like the CGI used to show the Langoliers, like you would not believe how terrible it looks. It looks like a 16-bit video game system almost. It's I don't know how else to really explicate the absurdity and the absolute amateurish look of the Langoliers themselves, unless you actually see the movie. It's really 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 bad. Like I have no idea how it got past Final Cut. Um, like I don't know how a director couldn't watch that and just like do a face palm or something. I'm gonna give the movie 4 out of 5 stars because I find it extremely entertaining, and again, there's just something very unique and special about it to me. I really like the movie a lot. Obviously, I'm going to have a difficult time recommending it for a lot of people unless you're into Stephen King or you sort of like the 90s kind of cheese, I guess. If you're into those types of things, you probably will like the movie too, but you might want to split it up into multiple viewings because that's kind of how it was intended anyway. So I went on for too long, so I'm going to stop.